When I was 17, I was led in mysterious ways to Arunachala, where I met Ramana Maharshi. It was a journey beyond my understanding at that age, something that came about through mysterious circumstances. But what I found there was not just a teacher, but a resonance of what I had always been seeking, even unknowingly. I arrived at Tiruvannamalai, and in those days they didn't have jet planes. It was a propeller plane. I purchased flowers and a bag of fruit to bring to Ramana. I took the rickshaw to the ashram. It was about 8:30 a.m. I entered the hall, and there was Ramana on his couch reading his mail. It was after breakfast. I brought the fruit and the flowers over and laid it at his feet. There was a guardrail in front of him to prevent fanatics from attacking him with love. And then I sat down in front of him. He looked at me and smiled, and I smiled back. I have been to many teachers, many saints, many sages. I was with Nisargadatta, Anandamayi Ma, Papa Ram Das, Neem Karoli Baba, and many others. But never did I meet anyone who exuded such compassion, such love, such bliss as Ramana Maharshi. There were about 30 people in the room. He looked at me and asked me if I had eaten breakfast. I said no. He spoke some Tamil to the attendant, and the attendant came back with 2 giant leaves, one with fruit and one with some porridge with pepper. After I consumed the food, I just lied down on the floor. I was very tired. Ramana was not my guru in the traditional sense. I had already experienced awakening when I was 14, but it was from Ramana that I truly understood the nature of my awakening. He did not teach in the conventional way. There were no instructions or ceremonies, just the silent, unbroken truth that emanated from his very being. Many would sit in silence with Ramana, and in that silence, words were unnecessary. The real teaching was beyond what could be spoken. His presence alone was like a direct pointer to the self, to the vastness that lies beyond thoughts. He would say, the mind falls into the heart. The heart that Ramana spoke of is not the physical organ, nor is it a place of emotions. It is the absolute reality, the pure intelligence from which all things emerge. The mind, with its concepts and stories, arises from this heart and ultimately must return there, dissolving into its source, into the truth of who we really are. Once, a student brought me a picture of Ramana Maharshi, the very picture I had been searching for. I took it home and placed a lei around it as an offering. Someone asked me if I was worshiping a guru, but I told them, Ramana is not a guru. He is the same as myself. There is only one self, and we are all that. Ramana himself emphasized that one should not worship his form after his death, but instead seek a living sage, or even more importantly, look within and find the self. After Ramana left his physical form, many people became attached to his image or his pictures. But Ramana himself taught that true realization doesn't come from worshiping a form, living or departed. It is in the living presence of a sage that grace is most directly transmitted, and that presence points you back to your own true nature. I received many phone calls. I had an interesting call this morning from a lady, an Indian lady in Phoenix. She asked me, "Robert, in my house, I have a beautiful picture of Ramana Maharshi, and every day I do puja to it, in the morning and in the evening. I play chanting tapes. I do arti, the waving of lights. I put prasad at his picture. I pray to the picture of Ramana. I've been doing this for 12 years and nothing has happened. Isn't Ramana supposed to give me some grace or something and enlighten me?" I replied to her, "A picture cannot give you grace. No matter how much you pray to the picture, what you do to the picture, you can kiss the picture, do anything you like to the picture, it will not give you anything except plenty of peace. It improves your concentration. It will make your mind one-pointed because you keep thinking of Ramana Maharshi and do puja to him. It will make you more peaceful because it'll make you more relaxed. But as far as seeing Ramana's form when you go to sleep, expecting to get grace, you cannot do this because he is dead, so to speak. Ramana Maharshi has merged, been absorbed in the self. He no longer has a form, and only the form of a live sage can give you grace. You can either do one of two things. You can begin to realize that you can never find self-realization looking at a picture or thinking of the form of a dead guru. Or you can find another guru or a sage who is alive. Ramana Maharshi demonstrated non-attachment in action. There was a time when thieves came to the ashram demanding all his belongings. Instead of resisting, Ramana instructed his devotees to give the thieves whatever they wanted. He said it was the dharma of the thieves to steal, and as sadhus, their dharma was not to resist. This showed his complete acceptance of whatever life brought, and his understanding that there was no separate doer. Another time, Ramana stepped on a hornet's nest. Instead of withdrawing in pain, he allowed the hornets to sting him, saying, "Sting me all you can. It's my fault I stepped on your nest." His acceptance of all experiences without resistance was a powerful demonstration of the ideal of non-attachment. Pain evokes resistance for most of us. But for Ramana, there was nothing to resist, nothing to avoid. His acceptance of every moment as it is the highest teaching. During his final days, when Ramana Maharshi's devotees were distressed, he reminded them, "Where can I go? I will always be here." His presence was never about the physical form. It was always about the ever-present self that remains beyond birth and death. When Ramana said, "Where can I go? I will always be here," it wasn't just a statement. It was a direct reminder of our true nature. The self, the essence of who we are, has no beginning or end. It was a message to not grieve his passing, but instead to recognize that the true Ramana is the self within each of us. Ramana also refused to be a traditional guru in the sense of formally initiating disciples. He believed in the realization of the one without a second, that there is no real separation between a guru and disciple. True guidance arises when the self of the guru and the disciple is recognized as one and the same. He also spoke about occult powers, or siddhis. He explained that these powers are distractions from the true path of self-realization. The self is beyond the ego, whereas occult powers manifest only when there is an ego. Therefore, Ramana always emphasized seeking self-realization over pursuing any mystical abilities. An example is Ramana Maharshi. He was known as Ramana Swami, Ramaswami. People gave him names, and that's the reason they named him Ramana Maharshi. He was never concerned with this. Yes, call me Ramana Maharshi. Don't call me this or don't call me that. He just went along with it. We called him Ramana Maharshi, and he was always happy with it. Of course, as far as he is concerned, he didn't have a name. He was the all-pervading universe, and he didn't have a name. When you're all-pervading, you could be called a tree, dog, mouse, or anything. Names do not stay with you. Worship the self, honor the self, love the self. When I pay homage to Ramana, I do so to my own self and to yours. We are not different. In the light of this realization, there is only one. Ramana Maharshi emphasized that the mind must fall into the heart. He often spoke of surrender, which is the key to realizing the self. He taught that surrender is not to an external deity or guru, but to the inner self, to give up the egoic sense of personal doership. This was Ramana's message: to go within, ask who am I, and surrender all notions of individuality to the ever-present reality of the self. I recall Ramana telling people that the heart is the seat of consciousness, not in a physical sense, but as the center of being, the core of existence. He would guide people to focus on this heart center, pointing them back to the source of all that is. It wasn't about locating a physical place, but about recognizing the origin of consciousness. He would say, "Be still and know that I am God." This knowing is not of the mind, but of the heart, the direct experience of the self beyond words and concepts. Ramana Maharshi embodied this truth fully, and in his presence one could feel the silent transmission of that realization. Om Shanti, 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 Shanti. Peace.